What's up YouTube, I'm Mike, and today I'm coming back to you with a quick video going into a compound that I have had everyone and their mother recommend to me over the past several years, and that is Anadrol. I have intentionally not taken this compound for a very long time because my body does not tolerate orals very well. For whatever reason, my AST, ALT levels will spike over 200 just from taking 30 milligrams of Anadrol. So even with a compound that's supposed to be relatively HEPA safe for the liver, I still have massively elevated enzyme levels. So I have steered clear of the Anadrol, but I like to try shit. I've tried just about everything there is to try. So when I decided to do my last big bulk, which those of you who have been watching this channel know that didn't go very well because I went on vacation for half of it, I decided to include Anadrol at the end of my bulk. And then my wife and I went on vacation, and now I'm back. And so I decided, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna throw this in. I'll give it a dry run. We'll see how it feels. We'll see what kind of effects I can get from it, and that way I can decide whether I ever want to include it in another bulking cycle again. For those of you who have been paying attention recently, you know that I have decided to not do any more typical bulking cycles, the just trying to cram the calories and the strain on my body. At this point in my life, it just doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to be keeping the doses a little bit more conservative and try to gain weight at a slower pace rather than cram on 15, 20 pounds in a 20-week period. I just don't think that it's what I need to be doing. So that all being said, this is the starting point for this. I'm about 6 days into the Anadrol now. The total number of the compounds being run currently are Test E at 500 milligrams per week, Trenbolone E at 50 milligrams per week, and Anadrol at 50 milligrams per day. And like I said, I think this is day 6. When I started this, my weight in the morning was about 185. Oh, also worth mentioning, I restarted the growth hormone at 4 IUs a day. So add that to the mix. So I started this, it's not really a cycle, this experiment, whatever you want to fucking call it. I started at a body weight of 185 in the morning, and I am now at day 6 up to 192 in the morning. 191, 192, it varies. I don't think that is due to the Anadrol per se. I think it's just due to one, jumping back on the growth hormone, probably flushed a little water into the system, and then getting back in the gym after 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks off is probably, again, putting some of the glycogen in the water and all that back into place, and I'm probably eating a little bit better again just because, that's one of the advantages of doing hormones. They tend to keep you more honest with yourself. You take a drug and then that inspires you to stay dedicated to your diet. So there's probably a number of factors. I'm not saying that I gain 7 pounds on Anadrol in a week. I certainly do not think that is the case. So what about the effects? If you've been watching this channel for any length of time, you know that I report having acute psychological effects from various different compounds. Anavar, D-ball, T-ball, I feel these drugs within 45 minutes. They are a very intense psychological feel for me. I get very amped up, very aggressive, very energetic. Sometimes I have trouble just sitting still. Some people have been so surprised by these reactions that a guy just recently said, "Man, I think you're fucking bipolar. The T-ball doesn't do this to people." I would agree that most orals do not tend to do this to people. I am definitely not bipolar. It fucking triggers the shit out of me, especially of all of the fucking psych diagnoses. That one really just shows your fucking ignorance when you throw it around. There are very few people in this world that are truly bipolar. If you know anything about this disease, it is a crippling psychological condition, and people just fucking throw it. Anytime somebody's like hot and cold, some dumb fuck comes along and goes, "Oh, I think you're bipolar." No, you're a fucking moron that doesn't know shit about fucking psych drugs or psych disorders. Just shut the fuck up. So, that being said, what I am, unfortunately, is a person who struggled with drug addiction his entire life. And anytime it's one of the reasons I stay away from fast-acting compounds. I don't use Tren-Ace or any of the fast-acting hormones, because anything that my body feels come on rapidly engages that drug addict type of mentality in me. And so that's one of the dangers of me using orals anyway, especially like an Anadrol, which I fucking love the way it makes me feel. And because I like the way it makes me feel, it inspires me to do it more than I really need to, and to use it for purposes that are not just truly bodybuilding. And so one of the things that, again, that I've been very surprised, I have not felt the Anadrol psychologically at all. In fact, because I didn't feel it within the first 45 minutes, I immediately started wondering, fuck, maybe this shit's no good. Every other compound I've gotten from the source has been perfect, and so, but because, I mean, you can never know, because I didn't feel anything psychologically, I began to think that it wasn't working. Unfortunately, because I've been out of the gym for 3 weeks, we can't even use strength as a good metric to determine what the drug is really doing in my body, because I don't really know where my strength should be. I've gotten in several really good workouts. I'm having to keep the total duration of the workout down just because I don't have the stamina that I once had prior to vacation. And so I'm working out for an hour, hour and 15 minutes, doing a push-pull leg split, and have been able to hit it hard enough that I've had some minor strains in my biceps. So I don't know if that's because the Anadrol is already making me stronger than I should be, but because I don't know, I'm kind of playing it safe. So no psychological effects at all thus far from the Anadrol. What I have been feeling is some renewed sense of sexual aggression. I've been on 500 milligrams of test and 50 milligrams of tren for over a month now, I think. And once the compounds kind of settle in, my libido starts to change a little bit. When I'm firing on all cylinders, I'm chasing my wife around the house for sex on average 3 times a day. During a cycle, we have sex twice a day, almost every day. I would say 6 days a week, 5 days a week at a minimum. We're doing 2-a-days. And so I can always tell when things are starting to kind of plateau, when all of a sudden my libido kind of tapers off to the point that I'm only really chasing her for once a day. And I know to a lot of you that sounds insane, but once a day sex for me is normal. Like that's the way I would be completely off of any kind of anabolic at all. I would still be pursuing it once a day. And so by day 2 or 3 of the Anadrol, I was back up to 2-a-days, chasing her around the house a lot more, being a lot more sexually aggressive, and the sex that we have had has been a little bit more aggressive, as I just said. So those are typically signs for me that a compound is working in my system. The only other thing that I have to report at this point is that I have been experiencing some pretty extreme lower body cramps. They seem to be contained to the lower body only. It's been happening during sex. Like last night I got a cramp in my arch and in my calf at the same fucking time. And then this morning I got to bed and I bent over to put on some pants and cramped up both of the backs of my hamstrings. So I've been having some lower body cramps, which I did some reading on and found is pretty common with Anadrol use. I don't know if that's an electrolyte imbalance situation. It's certainly not due to dehydration. I'm actually better hydrated now than I usually am. So who knows? I experienced that on Anavar as well. I don't know what it is about orals, but they tend to cramp me to fuck up. So that's where we're standing on this little trial run of Anadrol. I'll make another video in a week and let you guys know where that stands. I've had no feelings of toxicity. I've had no vomiting. That's been something that's been plaguing some of my other oral cycles, managing estrogen and controlling all these things and trying to force feed a bunch of calories on the front end because I jumped on an oral and it tends to lead to vomiting. And so I'm very happy to report that I've been able to keep all of my calories down for this first week on the Anadrol. So as soon as I have more data, then I will be back with another video. I'm about to cut this one short and make a second video today going into source talk, something that all of you seem to be very kind of fucking rabid about. And I've been trying to help guys on Instagram with some suggestions and some ideas, and it has gone horribly wrong. And so I'm going to make a video explaining in detail why no one wants to give you fucking guys sources. Some of you are very easy to deal with, and some of you are a total pain in the ass, and it just becomes more work than it's worth. I don't make any money by recommending my source to someone. I'm taking a fucking risk talking about any of this shit, and then I try to do somebody a favor by giving them a, throwing them a bone, and then they're just a fucking pain in my ass. And so I'm gonna make an entire video going into that as soon as I cut this one. So stay tuned for that, and as always, we'll see you on the next one.